Last week, Joe Schoen locked up his franchise quarterback Daniel Jones, and in his press conference to announce the signing, twice he said, "We have to build around Daniel Jones." Well, he kept to his promise today. The Giants acquired dynamic tight end Darren Waller from the Raiders. Coming up next, we'll get into the trade details, what it means for the rest of free agency and the draft, and as always, what's next. Stay right there. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to Tommy's Takes. I'm your host, Tommy G. You could have been anywhere in the world on the second day of free agency, but you're here with me. I appreciate that. Please hit that subscribe button. We are one subscriber away from 600. I appreciate every single one of the 599 of you. It means the world to me. You all know how passionate I am about delivering Giants content and analysis. Giants Country is the team. Check me out on Twitter, TommyG105. Let's get to it. Day one of free agency brings the blockbuster defensive signing the Giants needed. They get their middle linebacker, got some defensive line depth in the interior, took care of some of their own business, but the only thing was left was that offensive playmaker. And as soon as Joe Schoen signed Daniel Jones to that 4-year, $160 million deal, in the press conference to announce it, twice he said, "We have to build around this quarterback." And today he started that build. The Giants sending a third-round pick, number 100, to the Raiders for dynamic pass-catching tight end Darren Waller. Joe Schoen masterclass. The best part about this deal, very low risk, high reward. Everyone knows Waller comes in with injury history. His last 2 seasons hasn't played a ton of games, but his deal is not guaranteed after this year. So worst comes to worst, doesn't work out, Giants could wash their hands of this deal. All they would have lost is pick 100. So an excellent deal by Joe Schoen. They're going to pay Waller about $12.7 million this year. He'll get $12 million, $13 million, $15 million the next 3 years respectively if he stays with the Giants. But this was an awesome move. And shout out to Joe Schoen. Gets his middle linebacker yesterday. Gets his tight end today. Giants have roughly about $4 million in cap space right now. Definitely going to see some restructures soon to come. But for the time being, Daniel Jones gets his shiny new toy. And you know Joe Schoen and the Giants are not done getting him weapons. But this was a big step. I mean, if you go back, if the Giants could get 2019, 2020 Darren Waller, this is an absolute steal. But let's get into Darren Waller, who he is as a player and what he could do for the Giants. Waller was drafted in the 6th round by the Ravens 2015. After a few mediocre years, finally broke out. 2019, he had 90 catches for 1,196 yards. Followed that up the next year with 90 catches, 1,145 yards. Those are numbers you do not see from many tight ends. And he could stretch the field. He's dynamic. He could do it all. Blocking, so-so. He can block. Obviously not a strong point as a pass-catching specialty tight end. But boy, oh boy, what a matchup nightmare. Could stretch the field up the middle, which is really important. He can get loose on any given play. Even with the injuries, Waller still ranks 3rd among NFL tight ends in catches with 280 and ranks 3rd in receiving yards with 3,394 since 2019. So with all the games Darren Waller has missed the last 2 seasons, he is still right up there in the pantheon of elite tight ends. That shows you the skill set that he has. He could do it all. Soft hands. He could run pretty much any route in the route tree for a tight end. I mean, listen, Mike Kafka, congratulations, Mike Kafka, Brian Dable. This is just another weapon in the arsenal, right? Presence-wise, he's going to force defenses to come out of the box. That's going to be big for Saquon Barkley. Would not be surprised at all if Barkley can go out and top last year's production with less carries. Obviously, Giants ran a lot out of 11 personnel last season because their offensive line really couldn't win those heavy matchups. So the Giants had to force defenses to put their passing coverages on the field to run the ball better and more effectively and win some of those lighter matchups. Don't think that will be the case this year. I think you'll see a lot more 12 personnel. 12 personnel puts 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and a running back. I think that's what you see. You'll see a lot of Daniel Bellinger, and a lot of Darren Waller on the field, and I think they're going to crush it. Giants were in need of explosive plays desperately. New York ranked last in the NFL in 20-plus yard throws last season with just 28. So in the entire season, the Giants had only 28 20-plus yard passing plays. Waller, the last 20 games Waller has played, posted 22 20-plus yard catches. Think about that for a second. In the last 20 games Waller has played, 22 catches of 20 yards or more. That's why this is huge for this Giants offense. And I don't think the Giants are done by any means. You still have some good wide receivers out there. You've seen some of the dominoes start to fall today. Jacoby Myers getting his deal. Lazard working out a deal with the Jets. Obviously, they're still waiting on the Rodgers thing. But this was huge. But the Giants are not done yet. They still need that number one type wide receiver. Now, I think the addition of Darren Waller takes a little bit of the heat off of having to get that instant number one wide receiver. I don't think you have to go out and make a crazy trade or, sign an Odell Beckham to a $20 million deal, because you do have Darren Waller, and if he's healthy, he is going to get a lot of targets. He's going to play right into Mike Kafka's hands and in the offense he likes to play. But the Giants still do need that wide receiver one. How does it come? Does it come in the draft? There's still some trade rumblings out there. Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Ayuk. Problem is, Giants just traded their third-round pick. Are they going to be comfortable trading more draft capital? I'm going to be very interesting to see. But so far, so good. Get your middle linebacker yesterday. You get a pass-catching tight end that was arguably 2 years ago top 2, top 3 tight end in the NFL. He's 30 years old. He's still young. Really, you can't really ask much more of Joe Schoen at this point, honestly, because two biggest areas of need for the Giants, in my opinion, coming into this offseason were explosive passing plays, stopping the run. Those were the two biggest needs coming in. So when you're looking at free agency and you're looking at across the board, what could we do? Waller's 30 years old, so still young. Stopping the run, explosive pass plays. So yesterday, you get your middle linebacker. You get depth on the interior defensive line. Those two signings are going to be huge into stopping the run. Then you get your pass-catching tight end. So you really started to address both those key areas, hot areas of opportunities, we'll call it, for the team in the first 2 days of free agency. And they're not done yet. I wouldn't be surprised if something else happens tonight. And you have the draft coming up. Giants now own what will be 10 picks. They had 11 picks, obviously traded away number 100 for Waller. But there's still work to be done. And you got to admire Joe Schoen standing on his word, pushing his chips to the table. People are talking about win now, win now. NFL is a win now league. I think a lot of people get, screwed up in the perception of these long, struggling rebuilds that take 3-4 years, and the team really has to struggle mightily until they can get to the mountaintop, and the team is put together purely through the draft. Some of those elements still exist, but at the end of the day, this is a win now league. General managers typically don't get 5-6 years to rebuild a team. So I think Joe Schoen's doing the right thing. He identified his franchise quarterback in Daniel Jones, made the playoffs in year one of this rebuild. They have the right coaching staff. They have a Pro Bowl running back in Saquon Barkley that is explosive, dynamic, could take off any time. They have a franchise left tackle in Andrew Thomas. They have a Pro Bowl type nose tackle in Dexter Lawrence. This team has key pieces. Yes, work still needs to be done. Interior O-line still needs to be addressed, right? Nick Gates, congratulations, gets a huge deal with the Commanders. Shout out to him. Feliciano's still an unrestricted free agent. So the cupboard is bare at center. That has to be addressed, whether that's addressed in the draft. I know Ryan Kelly is on the trade market. That's a possibility. Doesn't matter. That interior offensive line has to be addressed. You could have all the pass catchers in the world. You could have 3 number 1 wide receivers. If you are getting pressure up front in the quarterback's face, nothing works. Could ask any quarterback in the NFL, would you rather get pressure up front or from the edges? They're going to tell you the edges because they could step up. Quarterbacks do not like pressure in their face, so Giants still have to address that interior offensive line. Obviously, the right guard position as well, and Mark Lewinsky struggled last season a lot, especially when it came to pass blocking, so that has to be addressed. And cornerback also. You know, you look at cornerback, there's some needs there. But all in all, got to be happy. Joe Schoen got his middle linebacker. Got a pass-catching tight end to take some heat off of trying to find that immediate wide receiver one. And they're expensive. And when you want to go get a number one wide receiver or even a close to number one wide receiver on the market, it is expensive. And I'm sure Joe Schoen was on the phone trying to work a deal for Ayuk. I know that was kind of in the works. That was discussed. You know, maybe Jerry Jeudy, that was discussed as well. But it's going to cost you. And these are young number one type receivers. These are not 30-plus-year-old number one receivers where they're on the come down and a team might take a third or fourth rounders. So, anyways, Waller takes a little bit of the pressure off that for now. When the season comes, he's going to take a lot more pressure off Daniel Jones, off Saquon Barkley. I think he'll be huge in teaching and helping Daniel Bellinger. I still have a strong belief in Daniel Bellinger that he's going to be a great tight end in this league, and they're going to get busy in that two tight end formation. It's going to be awesome to see. I mean, you could just see Bellinger, Waller, Barkley. They're going to do damage. So Giants fans should be very happy. What's next, though? Still got time tonight, obviously, today. You know, day 3, we'll see what happens. Although Beckham's still out there. McCole Hardman is still out there. Parrish Campbell, DJ Shark. You know, these guys are still out there. A couple of those chips fell today, obviously, like I said, with Lazard, Jacoby Myers. But you still have some solid wide receiver help out there. Maybe the Giants make a play at one of these guys and still draft one when the draft comes. Who knows? You can never have enough good, explosive wide receivers. But I think in the first 2 days so far of free agency, you got to be happy, right? Took care of your in-house business. You brought back Gillian. You brought back your long snapper. You got your middle linebacker, right? You got Breida you brought back. So you took care of some in-house business. Day 2, you go and get someone that really wasn't linked to the Giants at all when you think about it. I didn't hear Darren Waller much to the Giants. You heard a little bit about it today, probably like an hour before it happened, but you really didn't hear about it a lot. So, and at middle linebacker, obviously, and I want to try to get Bobby's name right. Bobby Okereke. So Bobby Okereke is going to be explosive as a middle linebacker. It's going to be kept clean by Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams. The Leonard Williams should be here. I think he's going to get restructured and not cut. That doesn't make sense. He's going to be explosive behind those 2 defensive tackles. Then you got Waller, right? You brought back Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and Matt Breida. Giants are going to do some big things. They are not finished yet in free agency is my belief, or a trade possibly. And then the draft is going to come up. But we'll see what's left in free agency. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Giants got their shiny new toy. Daniel Jones, rejoice. You got a tight end that was dynamic is not even a good enough word. Doesn't even give him enough credit for how he was 2 seasons ago. Just got to stay healthy. We say that about a lot of Giants players. Darren Waller has to stay healthy. But like I said, if he doesn't, Giants could wipe their hands. You do lose that 3rd-round pick, but it's really no financial troubles after that. That's why I love this deal that Joe Schoen made. But something tells me Waller's going to catch lightning in a bottle. Giants fans rejoice. For now, peace.